stare, so clean, just stare, so clean, can't wait with it, so clean, just stare, so clean, can't wait with it, can't wait with it, can't wait with it, so clean, just stare, so clean, can't wait with it, so clean, just stare, so clean, can't wait with it, can't wait with it.
Hi folks, and welcome to another edition of Saturday Morning Samoflange. My name's Matt.
Hi, and I'm Caleb.
What? You're who? Who are you?
Balak? Balak?
Ladies and gentlemen, today Mikey is sick, Grundle couldn't be here, and so I got brother.
Matt and Caleb in the morning.
Are you just retitling the podcast now?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
It's now called Matt and Caleb in the Morning?
Yeah. Matt and Caleb in the morning.
Wow, I didn't know we had some Ron Burgundy going on here. All right, I just want to go over some things from last week. First off, you gave your top fives. I think they were excellent. I love them all. I love the originality of them. And one of the ones in particular that I liked was Thoughtful of Tears, when he had Kurgan from Highlander. Yeah, he is a great villain. I didn't even think about him when doing my list, but he is a great villain. Okay, so we had one question from a couple weeks ago, and we're going to go over that question. It was from Rory, and he says, do you guys play tabletop, pen, and paper RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons? If so, what games do you like? Now, Rory, that is a fantastic question because we are all big board game fans, And for RPGs, just real quick, as you know, I do have all of the Star Wars, West End games, Wizards of the Coast, and Fantasy Flight RPGs for Star Wars. We haven't played them yet because we have been extremely busy, and we have been for about 6 months now. But we do plan on getting together and playing some RPGs because it looks so much fun. I'm trying to learn how to play it. I hear it isn't that hard to be a dungeon master, but right now, Rory, the rules are confusing, and I just haven't had the time to sit down and look through them. A buddy of mine used to play all the time. These friends did the Star Wars ones. They had so much fun, and I was dumb. I was into video games a whole lot back then, and I didn't want to give them the shot, and I should have, because it seems like a lot of fun to me now, and now I am all board games. Anyone who's seen some of my videos from the past knows I am all about some board games. Now, the only board games that you've heard me talk about, the number one board game is, of course, Zombies. It's a game where you roll a die, you come across a zombie, and you try to kill it. Fantastic game. It's done with tiles, so the board game is always different. Brother, you've played a little bit with me.
Oh yeah, love zombies. I'm actually a master at it.
And they come out with expansions every year, and I buy every single one. I even got to give some pointers on the last one. I even have a card bearing my image in the game of the newest one. And I'm hopefully working with Carrie Breitenstein now about developing their next one. That is nothing official right now, but I did give a game submission, and she said we would talk later. So I'm not in it to make the money. I just in it to make a great game because I do love me some board games. And so, like, before even the Star Wars Expanded Universe videos, I was all about board games. I'm still all about board games. I love me some board games. Usually, it hasn't happened lately because I've been super busy with stuff, but usually Friday nights is board game nights, and we have tons of people over to play board games. And all of them are up for RPG, role-playing games. Because, Rory, a lot of the people we hang out with, like Mikey and Grundle, and even Brother here, we all do local theater here in town, and commercials and stuff like that. So we're all theatrical people. We can all act and everything. So do a role play. Oh man, we would really get into it.
Oh yeah, we love our characters. We'll totally sing that.
Oh yeah, and a lot of times we break into some of our characters. As you see, Grundle breaks into a different character every week. Mikey's been characters. I've been characters, not here on the show, but I've been characters before. And so RPG is right up our alley. We just haven't gotten around to it yet. Another game that you've seen that I've played on my channel was Formula D, the race car game. In fact, I think it was like just a few months ago, I came out with a quick review of all the expansions to that. It's a race car game with dice. And folks, you think, oh, you can't have that. You can't have much fun with that. I'm telling you, everyone out there, unless you've played it, you are underestimating board games. Because to be honest, to me, I love board games now more than video games. I would definitely break out a board game, any game, and try it at least once. I have a closet stacked full of board games. I'm a huge board game fanatic. And so we wanted to give our top 5 board games and talk about all the other board games because there's a lot of honorable mentions. There's some popular games out there. You're going to be shocked, folks, but we never played them. Some of the most popular ones.
A lot of great board games out there. And when you grow up where it's either board games and playing outside, you grow up playing a lot of board games. So.
True. No, on a rainy day, you always play board games. When it was evening and you already took a bath, Bob would not let us out of the house. We had to play board games. Sunday afternoons were always board games.
Board games. And when you get sick or something, that'd be like your get well present, like a little board game. You're like, you're sick. You can't go anywhere, so just play a board game.
Okay, play a board game. In fact, you're right. You actually would play the game on your bed.
Oh, yeah.
If you're sick. So, I mean, we have a long memory of board games, and as kids, that's all we played. So this is a great topic, I think, to talk about today. But before we do, we need to mention our sponsor.
Play it smart. Higher mark
at Addison Appraisals. Find a room for your groom at Addison Appraisals.
So don't delay.
Call today at Addison Appraisals.
Mark Addison!
Woo! All right, so let's get this started. What is our top 5 board games? We're going to go, you know what? I will let Brother go first this time. Brother, give me number 5 on the board game list.
Number 5. Well, I would probably have to say number 5 for me would be Candyland.
Wow.
Candyland. And it's just because of the young memories I have with Candyland. And I loved candy. So all I could think is, man, I wish I was there.
That's true, but you know what? The peanut brittle house or whatever, that was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like in the middle of the board. And I was like, no, that should be number 1. I was ticked off that the Lollipop Land was up near the top.
It was up there, yeah.
And I was like, come on, who likes lollipops?
Yeah, the peanut brittle guy was always kind of evil to me, too.
Oh, man, I was like, man, that peanut brittle looks good. I could eat me some now. That game made me hungry, actually.
Yeah.
But it was a fun game because you're like little gingerbread cutout man. You used to play it all the time and roll. It was just a die with colors on it, right?
Die, yeah. And
you go to the nearest color.
You drew
cards. You drew cards. Never mind. You drew cards. You're right. You drew cards. And sometimes they'd be a double red.
Yeah.
So you could move 2 reds or 2 yellows.
Simple.
I do remember that. Okay. It's been a while, but you know what? I'll be honest. I would throw down some Candyland with you right now. I would. I think that'd be a fun game. Good one. But because it brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah. Brings back a lot of memories.
A lot of these are from our memories, old school memories here. And my number 5 is going to be electric football.
Ooh.
Do you remember electric football?
Yeah.
Where you set up the players, the football players. You had a rubber football, and you clicked it on, and the board would vibrate, and the players would move. I love that game. Remember, Dad had that game way back in the day, and it broke after us using it so much.
Yeah.
I remember saving up my money, and I had $40, which back in the day I thought I was rich. I thought it was one step below buying a house for $40. I did. I thought I was so rich. So I was like, I'm gonna buy that board game. Well, I went up to him and it was $40. It was like $39.99. I said, oh wow, I'm gonna have a penny left over. I didn't know about tax, and so when he said it's gonna be 40 something, I was like, oh. Like my heart dropped in my chest. I was like, oh no! I said I don't have the tax money, and my mom paid it, so I could have it. I was like, oh, good. But of course, when I fronted $40 and all she had to shell out was 4, I could set the fair trade. Now that I think back on it,
and Mom's the hero, you know.
Yeah, Mom was the hero for the year.
Wow, you're amazing, Mom.
You paid me $4. I paid 40. But that game was so much fun. I remember you always liked to run. Because passing really didn't work because you had to flip the quarterback and you had to hit the player.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the passing, and I kind of feel like I got cheated in the passing by Dad a little bit. Dad's like, oh yeah, that's a reception. I'm like, what? That's intentional grounding. So I just always ran it. I don't know.
And you know, we're going to talk about Dad a lot, actually. And I'm glad you're here today because we're going to talk about Dad and board games.
Yeah.
But when you kicked it, that was fun. Remember, we just kicked it for fun. The kicker would kick the little rubber ball.
It's like second down. I'm punting.
And you had like, yeah, I'm going to kick a field goal from the 60. What? Or from my 40, excuse me. Anyway, I remember we'd lose these rubber footballs, though. There were only like four given to you, 3 of them. And you'd lose them, and then the game would be over, and you just have to use I remember we used like a little paper. We scrunched up a little bit of paper, and that's what we used as
paper wad.
Yeah, paper wad.
Yeah, I mean, those little footballs, because, I mean, you think about it, you eat one, you lose one, and so you really only start off with one.
Well, the thing is, if some little brother is kicking it, and he doesn't know where it was, and he put it back in the box, but he didn't put the football back, and now the football's like the size of a rice, and so a grain of rice, and so now we can't find it. Yeah, I can't tell you how many board games got ruined by this guy here. Put it in your mouth. Stomp on it.
Man, you gotta see what it tastes like.
All right, number 4 for brother.
All right, number 4, I would throw down
Predator 2.
Oh, Predator 2.
I'm sorry.
That's not at all what I was thinking.
I'm sorry. For some reason, if Grundle was here, I think he would pick Predator 2 for his best board game. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, if Grundle was here, he'd probably pick a ladies' shopping mall or whatever that game
Oh yeah,
was,
Dream Phone.
Yeah, Dream Phone.
Yeah, actually,
that's
Dream
it.
Phone, Dream Phone. Dream
it.
Phone was on Mikey's top list. He sent it in. He said that's the only one I love is Dream Phone, where you had to call up and see he secretly likes you. So and so said you're a hottie.
Was that a Truth or Dare game?
I have no idea. I never played Dream Phone. Why are you asking me?
Come on.
We don't have Mikey
Confessions.
here. No.
You can tell us.
Mikey and Grundle sent in their top 5, and they said, and all of them were Dream Phone. Well, I mean, Grundle had the Barbie game.
Yeah, that's because he loved brushing her hair.
Yeah. No. They did have Mall Madness. He did have Mall Madness. You're right. He had Mall Madness on there. But then Mikey only had Dream Phone like all 5 times.
I love that you know all these games. You know, Dream Phone, Mall Madness. It's amazing how you know all this.
Yeah. Who am I married to? Anyway. All right. So number 4.
All right. Number 4. I'm gonna throw down a Clue.
Oh, you like
As in Clue, the board game.
I
loved Clue, man. I loved it. I loved getting in those little characters. Oh, man, they were just awesome.
I did, too. I loved it. Who was your favorite character to be in Clue? Mr. Green, Colonel Mustard, or Professor Plum?
I loved good old Professor Plum.
I was a Professor Plum person, too. Yes, I was.
But if Professor Plum was picked, you know who I'd go with?
Who?
Miss Scarlet, because women are deceptive. And they never guess me.
I tell you what, if I had to be one of the girls, I always pick Miss Scarlet if she was available.
Oh,
yeah. It was red. She was red. It kind of tipped me off because red was my favorite color, and I was like, dude, I want to be Miss Scarlet.
You know who I never wanted to be?
Mrs. Peacock.
Worse than Mrs. Peacock, Mrs. White. I don't want to be no White. I knew Mrs. White, and she was hairy.
Okay, you know the thing is. I mean, you had the pipe, you had the candlestick, you had the rope. I mean, it's classic.
Yeah, which is talking about another thing of pieces that you lose.
By the way, there were 2 sides. We had the little metal ones. We didn't have the cheap plastic ones they had back in the day. The rope was plastic, I remember, but everything else were metal. We had the nice metal ones, and it made for a really fun time. The revolver, and everything,
and you know, I think the rope ended up being a piece of the rug. After you lose that.
Yeah, after you lost it and everything.
Pick it out of the rug.
But you know what? It was cool though.
Oh,
you wanted it more lifelike.
Oh, I loved it.
And then what was in that folder? You had to make your guesses and everything.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest. That was one. If we were doing this like 10, 20 years ago or so, back when I was a kid, that would have definitely been close to the top of my list back in the day. It didn't make it here, and I'll tell you why. Have you played the game recently?
I haven't, no.
It does not hold up, in my opinion.
Really?
It doesn't. Because it takes forever to... Those are small little squares on the board game, and it takes forever to get from one room to the next,
right,
just to make a stupid guess.
That's why it's low on my... on my top 5.
Okay.
Because of that reason, because it took so long to play it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it ended up like if you were in the right place, because other people were finding clues for you, and if you were just in one of those secret passageway rooms where you could go to the room, you could win really quickly by only going to 2 rooms, 1 room effectively.
But then the thing is, you had to watch out because you didn't want other people knowing where you were going, because pretty soon people started watching you because they knew you had more clues than anyone else.
Right.
And so then people tried to get to you first and try to guess you. Now the thing is, to be honest, folks, if you know basic logic, this game is super easy. Now I can guess the killer really easy because I take notes more of when so-and-so's asking for something, and when they stop asking for a certain item
thing?
or person or place, then I go ahead and mark it off my list too. Now what I always did is I put a ringer in there. I put one of my cards, and I just kept saying the same weapon over and over again, so they thought that I didn't have
Yeah,
it.
you gotta throw them off with it.
Yeah, you had to throw them off with it. So that you had to do that, and maybe if someone threw it off, that would hurt your logic. But people don't play it that way, or I never did back in the
Sure.
day.
Yeah, no, I just played it straight up, trying to win.
So for me, the game wouldn't go through. But you know what? The secret passageways, those were awesome.
Oh,
you
yeah.
were always happy to go through a secret passageway.
Yeah, it was a great game, and I was always a little disappointed when I was the murderer. I don't know why. I always thought I was innocent.
I'm innocent. All right, number 4 for me. It is a classic, but I do love it. Love it today. Chess.
Really, chess.
Classic chess, man.
Chess is number 4.
Chess is number 4, and it almost got higher because it really fought. The other 3 fought to keep it down, but chess is so stinking fun to me, and I know it's just one of the classic board games.
Yeah. It's like the oldest board game there is, almost.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, I played it all the time as a kid. I'll play it today. I'm not very good. I'll be honest.
See,
I played a bunch of people who weren't good, and that's why I thought I was the best. And then I played someone who actually knew how to play the game, and I got whooped.
Oh yeah, you can get demolished in that game if you don't know what you're doing, and that's probably why it didn't make my top 5. Is just because I didn't really enjoy it until I was older, so I could actually realize the strategy of the game.
Right. I figured out the basic rules pretty quickly. Because as a kid, you know the moves. I don't know how I was introduced to it. I'm sure we had some cheap plastic set, or back in the day. Because I remember we had travel sets like that, and so I learned how to play, and we played all the time. And people would play with me, but I'd always win, and I had so much fun. I bet they didn't have as much fun.
That was cool. You know those little travel sets, the little
yeah, with the magnets on
board.
it.
Yeah, and you could play it in the car.
It was fun.
That was
the
cool.
only thing. Remember, we used to play, before Game Boys were invented, you used to play board games in the car. They had these travel little board games, mini card decks. Remember Mom has the mini card decks?
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun. So chess for me is right up there. I love playing it. It's a super fun game. If I play it on the computer, though, the computer's going to whoop me, even on easiest. So I don't know. I think those chess computer games are so hard, especially on easy. Come on, you should at least be able to beat easy. But one of them, folks, there's another podcast that we talk about every once in a while called Princes of the Universe, and on that there's a person named Bruce. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bruce actually, his son was winning the chess tournaments at his school.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, every year. And so he was challenged. He said, dude, you need to play him. Dude, he's really good. I said, really? Oh, dude, you'll lose to him. I lose to him. I was like, wow, is he? He said, yeah. Don't hold back, man. I said, well, I'm going to go easy. No, don't hold back. He was 10 at the time.
So you went for it?
And I killed him.
You destroyed him?
And I felt so bad. I felt so bad because he never lost. You could tell in his face, like, and I could just see it. I was like, oh my gosh, it just tore apart. And I felt so bad. And so I tore apart. And I could see in the look of his face, he's like, oh, because I felt like that when I got my first loss handed to me. I mean, I got my butt handed to me.
See, was that all part of Bruce's idea, though? He was like, someone needs to put this boy down. And I don't want it to be me, because I don't want to be the one, that he hates growing up in his life. He's like, you ruined my chess.
I mean, no, I
career.
had my butt handed to me on a platter with a side order of suck. I mean, it was bad when I lost. And he lost the same way, because I thought, well, maybe he just set me up. So I went ahead and said, maybe he's just leaving that guy open, so I'll take him and I'll fall into his trap. I said, I don't see a trap, but I'll do it. And then I kept winning, and I got into competitive mode. Then I kind of turned it off, and I looked at his face. He was, like, demoralized.
And then you threw him down. You were like, ha! I beat you!
No, then I said, I know. Then I got up and said, oh, and you're adopted, and walked out. Oh, it was bad.
Oh, good times.
Good times. Okay, number 3 for the brother.
Number 3, Operation.
You blew my mind on that one. Operation. Please tell me why.
Operation, just because it was such a cool game. I mean, you're operating on somebody. You got to get out that little funny bone.
And that's exactly how they do it in real life, by the way.
Yeah, that's how it's done. You get little tweezers and you just start plucking stuff.
You get the wrench out of their
No,
arm.
that game was so intense for me. I'd get in there. You're like starting to sweat. You're really feeling the pressure of this operation here.
Did you jump when the buzzer went off?
Oh yeah, I did. Oh yeah, it scared me half to death. And then that game, what's cool about that game is that game has lasted the test of time, and it comes out with new versions all the time. Did you know there was a G.I. Joe Operation game?
No. Well, it shouldn't surprise me. They make
They
Operation
make
games
them
for
all
everything
over,
now.
but still, that'd be cool.
That would be cool. That would be cool. There's a lot of we have an R2D2 operation. The Mrs. Love's R2D2,
yeah.
and so we have that, and it's fun. But the thing is, though, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I can't believe this. I mean, I hate to rain on all your choices here, but I do this to Grundle all the time. I guess I'm just used to it. But to me, Operation is so. I mean, you can figure out how to win and pick them all out. Because nowadays, have you played it lately?
No,
I can pick them all out on one try and not touch the edges. Like I played our nephew on it and cleaned him out on my first try, and I was like, well, that sucked. Because I was like, I just realized you can do it. Because anyone with skill. Now, younger kids, yes, I think it would be a much funner game. And I did have fun as a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid playing that game, oh man, sometimes you wouldn't even think you touched the edge. There's like a magnetic force right there, just shock you.
And you know what? That's probably the difference. You're going off nostalgia here.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't blame you on that because honestly, as a kid, that may have made my top 10. I don't know. It may have made. Chess would have still been on there. Chess would have been the only one of these that, well, never mind. Number 1 would have been on there too, but chess would have been on there.
Yeah, I'm going back to.
No, I totally understand that now. I totally understand that.
Of the game I had.
And you know what? In honor of that, I'm going to go back to my childhood years, and I'm going to give you my number 3. Which is almost my number 1.
Let's have it.
All these 3 tie for number 1 almost. But Fireball Island.
Fireball Island?
Ugh. I love that game. Do you remember that game?
No, tell me about that game.
You don't have that game?
I do not remember Fireball Island, but I love it already.
I have the game right now.
Oh.
I rebought it online. By the way, folks, if you're looking for Fireball Island online, it's expensive. If you find it for less than $100, go get it.
Woo!
Because it's with all the pieces. With all the pieces. I found one for less than $100. I found it for really cheap. Guy needed some quick cash. And I got a deal on mine. But usually full pieces, nothing broken, original set, $100.
So what is the game? How does it go?
It was so big because it's a huge board. And it's a 3-dimensional board, which means it's built like a mountain.
Yeah. Oh.
And then you have a little centerpiece that has little horns and everything on it. And then you have the fireball that comes out of his mouth and rolls down any one of these pathways.
Oh, I do remember seeing that game. Yeah, it was kind of like a volcano right there in the middle. Yes.
And so if you are in the pathway, it knocks you into a greater pit and you lose a turn. Yes. And you have to steal the jewel on top of the volcano, and then you have to make it to the rowboat at the bottom of the other side of the island. Fantastic game.
That was a sweet game.
And folks, YouTube Fireball expansions. Some guy came up with a proposal to Milton Bradley back in the day about making expansions to Fireball Island. Like they attach these little other islands to the game. It blew my mind.
But they never did it.
Oh, I'm glad they didn't because I would be $500 poorer right now. I'm serious. I would buy every expansion. You should see the video. They come up with ingenious ideas that fit with the regular. There's one thing where you're on a bridge. If you happen to be on that bridge, someone's going to throw that fireball down the river, and it would knock you off the bridge. It was so much fun, but you had to roll the exact number to be on the bridge, and someone had to have a fireball card. But every time you rolled a 1, a fireball came.
And
it had to hit someone. Even if you were the only one in the path, you had to hit yourself.
So it worked with a die, and you had cards.
Yes.
So there wasn't a little twisty. Was there a little spin?
No,
thing?
no.
Okay.
You had cards you had strategy cards. You could play against others or play on yourself. Seriously, it was a game ahead of its time, which is why it's so popular online today. But folks, I'll be honest. You're thinking, Matt, I don't even know if I'd pay $50 for this old game. It is worth it. Look at the review. I did a review on it. Look at people talking about it. It is a wonderful game. If you remember it, you need to go get it because it still holds up today. I still play it with our nephews. We have the best time on Fireball Island. I friggin' love that game. It's still number 3.
On the one that you have, are the stickers filling up any?
There are no stickers. It's all painted.
Oh.
It's all painted.
It's all painted?
It's all hand painted.
What?
I mean, of course, it was graphed on there, but it is all painted on there. The board does not, unless you're sitting there rubbing on it, but you can't because it's 3-dimensional. So no, the pieces stay together. Now the pieces are that cheap plastic, so they break easily.
Plastic.
So you got to be careful with them. The jewel is hard plastic. The little disc that the jewel fits in, the set in, is the tokens is what they're called. They're hard. You can lose them, but nothing else. Nothing else is brittle. The characters are brittle, and they're basically marbles, red colored marbles. They're a little different.
Right.
And people replace them with marbles. You can replace them with red marbles, and that's what some people do to help their set out. But the cards, it is such a fun game. We're playing that after this. All right. So number 2 for the brother.
Number 2 for me would have to be Pizza Party.
It took one of my honorable mentions.
Oh,
Pizza Party. Talk about pizza, because you know what? Pizza Party isn't that popular.
Pizza Party. Party. Pizza Party. Yeah.
All right, so
well, Pizza Party. Okay, so it kind of
it's an old game. It's not around anymore.
No, it's not, and it should be. It was amazing.
But it's like for $5 on eBay.
Oh.
Seriously, it's really cheap on eBay. Buy you one.
Oh man, Pizza Party. So you have this round table board, a pizza pie, if you will.
And remember, they used to smell like pizza.
Oh yeah, that's
now
why
nowadays they probably smell like cardboard. But
that's why we had like several pieces. You know, you could cheat later on because I had sucked on some of the cardboard pieces and they were all soggy. You're like, that one's a pepperoni. I remember it.
I stuck it in my mouth and sucked on it.
Yeah, so
You're disgusting.
It's four. It's a 4-person player game.
Yes.
And it's 4 pieces, 4 slices, and you had to
onions, mushrooms, bell peppers, and pepperoni.
Onions, mushrooms, green peppers. Yeah.
Yeah, bell peppers.
And yeah, pepperoni. And you had to make your pizza. And it was a memory game. And the twist.
Yeah.
The twist in the memory game, there was a switch card. There was a switch token to where if you drew that, you could switch with someone.
No. You're thinking it wrong.
No.
Unless they came out with a newer version, because it was the same thing that you had. You had them, and we'd shake the box up, and you had to pick one. If it wasn't it, you had to put it back.
Right.
But you had to get all the mushrooms.
You had to get all the mushrooms.
Switch the pie with someone.
You could switch the pie.
You could switch the pie.
So
Never
like,
mind.
You only, there were like 6 pieces.
You're
so
right.
if there were 6, you had 5. I only had 3.
Switch.
And I picked a switch.
You could
I could
switch with
with
me.
you.
I forgot about
and then
that.
you had my
You're
game
right.
board and I had
You're
yours.
right.
Yeah.
But the thing was, you put them in that box, you shook it up every time, so it wasn't the same. It was basically just a game of luck and draw, but that switch made it interesting too.
Yeah. I lost several times because of that switch.
You're right. Pizza Party is a fun game. Now, this is for kids. Adults may not like it. Caleb and I would, because we remember it growing up.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a kid game.
But to be honest, kids would go gaga over that.
Yeah, it's like for ages 3 to 5 or something.
Yeah, but it's a fun game.
But, I just talk about childhood memories, man. That game, yeah, you play it, you're ready to eat some pizza. It's a fun game.
Right. Mom, pizza, stat! My number 2 is actually one that's been reprinted. I actually did a review on this a long time ago. I get a lot of heat over this review, too, because I made up a rule. And I say I made up a rule, but people still get mad. They say, that's not how you play. It's Conquest of the Empire. It was an older game, way back in the day. Y'all remember this because you busted all the original pieces and lost all the coins.
Accidentally broke off the heads. But that game was fun.
No, y'all took all the coins, too, as your secret treasure money. You went out and buried it, and you didn't know where you put it.
But it was still fun. You could still get your guys and ride around. You didn't.
But when it came back out, when it got reprinted in 1990, I didn't know about it until years later. I paid it, and it's a pretty penny to pay for that game. But it's got tons of pieces. It's a huge. It's 3 boards.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
And back to back to back, it's this huge world. Like it wouldn't even fit on this little table we have here. You have to play it on the floor, basically, or the dining room table. But it fills up almost the entire dining room table too. It's a huge board game.
Huge board. Yeah.
It's like Risk on steroids, folks. I'm serious. You can be cavalry, you can be infantry, you can have ships, you can have catapults. And here's the thing where I get a lot of heat on. I made up a rule for the catapults because in the original rule set, the new rule set, they do have rules for catapults. On the original rule set, there were no rules for catapults. Like there wasn't, catapults cost the most, but with a roll of the die, you could easily defeat a catapult. So why buy a catapult? Why not just buy cavalry? Because they move faster. Or infantry, because they're cheaper.
Right.
Why spend 30 coins originally? Infantry's 10, cavalry's 20, catapult's 30. But catapult does nothing special in the original game. So in the original game, we changed the rule, and I say this, we changed the rule to say, okay, you get to pick up a second die when you're rolling, because the more army you have, the more dice you have in your hand to roll and fight.
Ah.
So that's what we do. Some people say that in the second game, catapults can attack from a distance.
Yeah, they can shoot further.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
They can shoot from one land away. And that makes sense to me, so I understand that. But that's not the way we played, because in the original rules, there were no rules about catapults. So why buy a catapult? But then you have cities, you can build roads, so your infantry and everyone can move faster. It is an intense game. It's all about trust. And if you get 6 players, everyone, you're saying, oh, what's the best place to play? There is no best area. Because if you're playing with 6, you are surrounded on both sides.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
You have to make alliances to start off the game. You have to. And you have to get people you trust. Because at any moment, they will betray you in a heartbeat. And it's all about betrayal.
You leave that little Caesar behind to go fight a battle, and they come.
And you think that guy has your back because he's had your back the entire game, and then he sees that your Caesar's weak, and he attacks you.
All of a sudden, you see their infantry heading towards your place. You're like, wait a second, what are you doing?
Yeah, you have that bad feeling. No, you get mad at them and stuff because they betrayed you. But the thing is, that's the name of the game. And some people get greedy. I've been betrayed. And then the person beside them went after them. And they defeated them because they weren't thinking. They were thinking, oh, I can get all Matt's land and I can be super powerful. Oh, wait, but I just left my Caesar unguarded by getting his Caesar.
Yep.
And that's the name of the game. You got to play bold sometimes. You got to make bold moves. Sometimes if you have one army left and his place is heavily fortified and he didn't think you'd attack it. And it's an all or nothing. And sometimes you can win. Sometimes those... because the attacker gets to roll first, and then the defender, and then every round those pieces are removed from the game, and the dice rolls get smaller and smaller as your armies get defeated.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, you can come out with a pretty big epic win if you play it bold, but you gotta know when to strike and when to betray, honestly, because there's right times, there's wrong times. Some people stay faithful to the end until there's just the 2 of them, and then they battle it out.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen much in our house.
Right. And also, it's hard. That another thing with that game is it's hard to make it to the end because it's like you play it for 4 hours and it's still not done. You're like, all right, let's pick this up tomorrow.
Well, there's so many strategies though, because some people pick. I play with my nephews now, and some of them pick the infantry because they're cheap. And I was like, why? You want to get other people? No. Because now he has 1 billion infantrymen, and it's hard. I mean, strength in numbers. You can mow down infantrymen easily, but you cannot get. If there's a dozen of them, there's only 5 of you. You better hope that you have some great rolls, or they're going to kill you because there's so many of them.
Oh yeah, just the sheer mass.
Cavalry, for some reason, is tricky to kill, and then catapults. Everyone loves catapults because they represent power in the game. So you have, and I still keep the 2-die rule, even though it's not in the rule book. But I'm playing by the original set of rules and just making it one, and everyone's fine with that. If someone wasn't fine with that, we wouldn't play with that rule. But that makes the catapults more powerful. But you're spending more money for less army.
In the old game, I guess the catapult was just to kind of flex your muscles a little bit and be like, I'm a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. I got catapults on for no reason.
But you know what they do? They build up their thing, and I build ships. And I could travel faster. You can always travel faster in ships.
Oh, yeah.
And you can travel across sea. You can conquer a bunch of islands and get extra points. And see, the thing is, the ships were underrated, and now they make sure everyone loads up on a ship at the very beginning. You at least need 1 ship to start the game. But there's just so many different strategies. I bet there's a strategy that I've never seen before either. So it's always fun to play with people. But that, to me, is just one of the ultimate board games.
Oh, yeah, it's the Warcraft of board games.
And there's so many little pieces. It's so much fun. Uh-oh. We are at number 1.
Bum, bum, bum.
What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Guess Who.
Bravo.
Guess Who, because I loved Guess Who as a kid. It was the coolest game. I could sit there and just play game after game after game. And we kind of played it like a little, court game, like winner keeps court. So the winner stays, and you just replace the opponent on the other end. You can hold that game for 4 or 5 matches. Sometimes you're just on a roll. You throw it down with that game.
And Guess Who is still a game that holds up today, to be honest. It's still a fun game. Are you bald? Do you have red hair? Do you have... And they really haven't changed it in the new releases I've seen. They still have the same characters.
They keep it pretty much the same, yeah. And,
and I'm glad, because why ruin a good game?
The one weakness of Guess Who is it's all about how good your opponent is. And not necessarily on how good they are at guessing. but how good they are at answering your own guesses.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they could throw you off. You could ask a question, they're like, I don't know, and then you have to ask something else. You know, so they limit your vocabulary of guessing because they can't match it up. You know, like a Samuel L. Jackson. Does he look like a bitch? And they're like, you can't always ask that question.
What kind of game did you play?
I'm just saying, you can't always ask that question depending on your opponent, because they're like, I don't know, and you're like, well, great, now I don't know if it's Herman or not.
Oh, mercy. All right, so good one. My number one is a game that I still play today. And by the way, again, Bruce knows this because we're roommates that play it all the time. He hates this game. He hates that I play it so much. I played it as a kid. I still play it today. Stratomatic Baseball.
Stratomatic Baseball.
Boom. Love, of course, baseball is my favorite sport. Love Stratomatic Baseball. Changed it up now, the way I play. And this is weird. Everyone has a weird hobby. I guess this is my really weird hobby. But in Stratomatic Baseball, you get to play as the players. And remember, Dad used to buy us the teams sets. But then they got there are these cards that have all these numbers on it. It's a smart game, and it plays like a regular game of baseball. I mean, it really is very in-depth. And people still today are serious about some Stratomatic Baseball. People still play it. You know, it's not as popular as it was back in the day because now you have computer games, you have fancy baseball that's really picked up, and those games kind of took its place.
Yeah, man. If you didn't know what you're doing, that game goes so in depth that if you didn't know what you're doing,
they even have it now. If you bat left-handed or right-handed, or there's a what hand is the pitcher, you can even go even further on the back of the card and roll against those numbers.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy.
It is so in depth, but it plays like a real game, and it's so much fun. If you love baseball, you love this game. I don't think Stratomatic works. Now, they do have Stratomatic football, basketball, hockey. I don't know how it can work for that because those games are it's a lot about motion.
So
it's a lot about indirect motion, meaning the quarterback's gonna pass, but you don't know where. You know the running back's gonna run, you don't know where. But you know where the ball player's gonna run. He's gonna run to first, second, third, or home. You know where he's going. You don't know where the ball's gonna go.
Right.
That's because it gets hit. Now that's the random part of the game that makes it exciting. But you do know where the runners go. In football, you don't know where the runners are going to go, or you don't know where the ball is going to go either. Same thing with basketball. So those to me would not fit very well in Stratomatic. I have not played those type of games, but the baseball one, love it. And I remember Dad was too cheap to buy us the next set that came out. It was too much. He stopped buying it, and I was mad. And he says, "Look," and he took a pencil and he just scratched out the team's name and put a new team under. He said, "There." And he said, "That's what I always did as a kid." I was like, "Oh." He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, Dad," and then my next argument to get him to guess the new set was like, "Well, Dad, this rookie now plays." I was like, "So?" He said, "And you got an index card, which is the same size as the regular Stratomatic card, and drew it out on an index card, and said, here's the stats, and here's." I was like, "You can make them up?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You can make up anything." Matt Wilkins started playing for his favorite baseball team that day. I did, and I'll be honest. He had a lot of home runs on his card.
Soup them up.
But now today, I play it, but I've replaced all the cards with handwritten cards of people and friends I know. Now, not only is this kind of weird, but it also helps me remember old friends that I would have forgotten their names by now. And old people old friends we had, because Caleb and I went to a lot of camps, summer camps back in the day.
Yep.
And I can still name you every single person I met at those summer camps because I always made a card of them when I came back. They still play on the teams, and then the ones I still keep in touch with, I'll ask them, "Hey, how's so-and-so doing?" I'll keep up with, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you remember so-and-so. Oh, gosh, I forgot about him. I even forgot about until you said his name." And
you get their updated stats. You're like, "What's your batting average now?"
Yeah, what's your batting average? What do you look like? Are you fat? Okay, you're going to be a slower runner now. I've had to do that.
Wind resistance.
I've had to do that. So, anyway, and I did readjust my card a little bit. I don't hit as many home runs. I still hit a few, though. And, I did lead the league in home runs, barely, this past year. But, yes, I do cheat on that one. But the rest of the cards I try to do to scale. And mine, I even dumb down mine a little bit this past year. But I still play this game. Still play. You actually have a team. You actually won one time. Your team actually won.
Woot woot.
Yeah. So you switched teams this year. You got traded. So.
I got traded.
Yeah, you got traded. You had to move to a different league. There's 2 different leagues. You got moved to a different league. I have singles and I have married. And those are the 2. That's like the American League and National League. So when you get married, you move to the other league. Older married people have on there. They retire. And
so I have one question for you.
What's that?
Is Dad still playing?
Dad is still
playing.
Still playing. Let me tell you something about Dad, okay? He played some softball back in the day. And this man, he was 60, wasn't he?
Yeah.
62, maybe even.
60. Yeah, no, I'm not exactly
This was about 3 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Okay, so he was in his 60s, low 60s. And he was the best ball player on the team.
He was one of the best, yeah.
Seriously. He hit home runs. And we laughed because we said the only reason he hit home runs was because he didn't have to run on the bases.
Right.
Because he couldn't run. But he still had a big swing. I mean, seriously, his card, I didn't take any home runs off of his card because, seriously, Dad hit a lot of home runs. Watch him do that. He just has the power. He has the know-how. And he can't run as much. And that's why they kept him on first base. And his knee, remember, he iced them knees every game, son. Ice them knees, but
first base or pitch, he pitched.
To be honest, he was still a good ball player, and yes, he is still in the game. He's still playing, and he's still good because I kept his stats good because he really impressed me. Now that was 3 years ago, so he may have lost his step.
Well,
he
still asked me about playing softball. He wants to put together a team.
He would play softball today, and you know what? I bet he would still hit a home run. I bet he still could do it because he still got the power in his swing. Now, to be honest, we're going to talk about little baseball memories here. Caleb is the only brother. Let me check that. No, he's one of 2 brothers who never hit a home run. But he is the only brother who made the All-Star team. The only one. None of us made All-Stars because all of us really sucked in general. We all sucked. Well, not all of us, I guess. But Bray was okay.
Yeah, Bray was pretty
Jordan
good.
was okay. You were good, and you did really good one year, and he was slow, by the way. I could beat Caleb crawling to the bag. I'm not playing. Crawling to the bag, I could have beat Caleb to first base when he was like 12.
But I'm a smart base runner, though. Smart. I could steal those bases because they wouldn't even look at me. they're like, that boy ain't going nowhere, and I'm like, they're like, is he off balance? He's like walking towards second. Gone.
There was one game where they didn't have a fence. I'm telling this story. He knows what I'm telling.
Yep.
And Caleb hit it, and the little outfielder missed it. It was the only time he ever got a double.
No, that was not.
Whatever.
That was an inside the Parker, son.
No.
There's no fence.
You got the
That's
second
like a
base.
That's like a roll to the street. I strolled home.
You got the second base, took a break, ate a Twinkie, and then sat down and went and took a nap. You were so tired after that. But the thing is, he went and
mercy rule.
Yeah.
I showed mercy on all those poor boys.
But this dude, man, he did make All-Stars, which none of us ever did. My one home run is kind of funny. It was my last year of playing. It was in the City League, the 18 and older, and that was when all the kids had left. So it was just me and a bunch of old men. So that's really how I got in the batting order. And I remember I wasn't that good. I'd get base hits, and I could always get base hits, but I was left-handed. And people in Little League and stuff, and people actually in Dixie League, the older kids league, they still had trouble throwing to a left-handed hitter. And that ball hit me more than I hit it. My on-base percentage was awesome. But really, it's because I got beamed a lot in the shin, the elbow, the head, the knee, the ankle, which is one of them that stung the most. But the thing, you go to first base, and if your home team was, sitting at the first base line, you didn't want to tear up because the guys would see you. And so I'd be like, "You okay, man?" I was like, "Yeah, I just got some dust in my helmet. Hold on." And I'd put my helmet on my face and go, "Oh, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad." And I put it back on. Yeah, I got it. I got all the dust out. Just some dust in my eye.
Don't rub it.
I know, for real, but it hurts so bad. I'd be moving my ankle or my knee or my elbow, wherever it was, because it hurt so bad. But I don't know why I love baseball so much now that I think about it. But I was really not that good. But that one last year, I was 18, and Dad was playing.
Yeah,
Dad was playing with us. Yeah, he played it was a hardball. It started off as a hardball league for the first 2 years, and then stopped. They went back to softball because no one can play hardball because people don't.
People were getting hurt.
Yeah, people were getting hurt, and they couldn't, the ball and everything. Anyway. the last year we were in a tournament game. We were the last place team. I was the pitcher. Thank you very much. And then I gave up like 7 back-to-back home runs.
Hence last place.
We were playing the number 1 team. We were up 6-0 in the last inning. For some reason, we got the last at bat, and I gave up 7 home runs back-to-back. And so that feels awesome when you do that.
Back to
back. Yes.
What?
All 7 home runs.
What?
And so I'm
Son,
feeling,
that's when you got to fool yourself.
But the thing is, though, I knew because no one wanted to throw. So anyway, I would throw it. I'd throw it high, and if you throw it high, I noticed these guys were always swinging at it. So when you throw it high, they're going to hit under it. They're going to pop it up, which they did, or they're going to chop at it and it's a grounder, and we could field it.
Yeah.
I mean, I had stopped them from getting hits, and I just kept throwing high because I noticed they were swinging at chest level stuff. Well, then, we're in the 9th.
Maybe
I'm throwing in there now. I'm gassing, and they're taking me deep every hit. And I was mortified that I had just lost the game for us. And so we came back in the bottom of the 9th. This plays like a Disney movie now that I think about it. We come back in the bottom of the 9th. One guy gets a double. I was like, oh, good. He gets on base, and we're tied up. I'm not, because the coach said he's going to get someone else to pitch the next inning for me.
Right.
And so, because I did not want to do it after that, I felt terrible. Well, then the other 2 people, some of our best players, struck out, and then I was up to bat. And I was like, no.
The pressure.
Usually I can't get a hit. Sometimes usually I get a hit. So anyway, I remember staying in the game for so long, and you remember playing wiffle ball with Dad. Our dad is vicious with a wiffle ball.
Oh yeah.
He can do things with a wiffle ball. I still can't figure out how he does it. I mean, he can make
string on that ball.
Seriously, he can make the wiffle ball go up and down and back up again.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's this weird. It's the inverse of a sinker. It's an upper, and I don't know how he can do it. But he does, and so he's always good at striking us out. Remember, he set up the lawn chair.
Oh yeah.
Behind us, that was the catcher. And if it hit within the netting of the lawn chair, it was a strike. And Dad could always. It was like the ball would move around our bat as we swung, and then turn back around to hit the lawn chair.
He could loop that sucker behind your head and hit the lawn chair and call it a strike.
Seriously.
Like, wait a second, man.
Seriously, the dude is pretty amazing with a wiffle ball. And so the cheap thing that we used to do to hit Dad's wiffle balls is we used to chop down on it. Remember that? We used to chop down on it. You could hit it. It'd be a dinker, but you could hit it. And so that's what I started doing because I was scared it was going to strike out. And I couldn't hit this guy. I had to start swinging down, chopping at it. And then the umpire said, "Hey, if you don't start swinging, I'm just going to call you out." Because he could tell, this dude's treading water here.
Whoa.
So the dude throws it inside and low, and I golf swing it. And I'm thinking, oh, that's it, game over. And I slam my bat down. Well, I thought, oh crap, he's going to throw me out of the game. I didn't think this is the 3rd out to end the game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be gone for long. But I just took off running as fast as I could. I was mad. I was mad that I lost the game. I'm mad I gave up 7 home runs. And when I touched first base, the whole crowd went nuts. I didn't even look. I ran straight to second. What? I said, dude, that dude dropped the ball. And so I'm just running. So I get to second. And then I don't see anyone throwing it. So I go to third. Because I had some speed on me. I said, I can make it to third. And then maybe if someone gets a hit, I'll win the game with a winning. And so while I'm going to third, I'm looking over my shoulder to see where is the ball. You got to figure out where the ball is. Well, there's the right fielder sitting out there, and he is sitting down. And I was like, did he hurt himself? And my team's running out of the dugout and going, he hurt himself. The center fielder has to get the ball.
So you still didn't know?
No, until I hit third base. Then I realized I hit a home run.
Yeah, I bet you tried to look cool after that. You're like, oh!
No, there was no looking cool. Because the whole town saw me run around those bases as fast as I could. And they probably figured it out by the time I hit first. They went, he doesn't realize he hit a home run. So they're going,
you're like scrambling around looking.
I'm scrambling. And so anyway, I still have the baseball. And the baseball says, home run number 1. Like, I was going to have to label these things. I was going to forget. I was going to start hitting so many home runs now. I better start labeling them. So it says home run number 1. And then it says, and we won the game. Oh, no, I gave up, we were winning 5-0. I gave up 6 back-to-back home runs. We won 7-6.
Okay.
So it's 6 back-to-back home runs I gave up. And I don't want to exaggerate about my poor performance.
Yeah, there you go.
But I had given up 6 back-to-back home runs is what it was. And so we won the game 7-6. And I have the baseball, and I say, when we won the game, home run ball number 1. And then underneath it, this is a funny thing, it says how far it went. And it's like 450 yards. That ball did not go 450. I don't know where he even got that
450
number.
yards.
I don't even know where I got that number. Because that end gate was probably 325.
That's like
maybe,
it hit a
or 340.
wormhole and fell out the other
And
side.
I swear to you, I bet it barely nicked. I bet it nicked the fence.
It bounced off the top of the fence.
There's no way that ball went. But I remember seeing that and laughing. I was like, "What? What?" I said, it was a big fence. It was one of the adult fences, but it couldn't have been that long. It could not have been that far. Who am I, Cecil Fielder? I mean, there's no way I'm bombing a ball that far back down. So that to me was laughable. But everything else, though, that was a big, nice story, and I still love playing Strat-Mac to this day. In fact, my season's about to start soon. I'll let you come in and see your players.
Yeah, let me see them.
Yeah.
Do they have a mustache?
Anyway, we want to talk about a few other honorable mentions here, and there's a ton of honorable mentions. First off, honorable mentions we're not going to talk about. Stratego and Axis and Allies. We never played those games.
Never played them.
Growing up, and I know those were big games for some people, but and to this day I never played them. Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to play them, I got to play them." No. I have Conquest of the Empire, which is really good, and I loved Risk. Remember Risk back in the day?
Risk.
Yeah. And I loved Risk. I don't play it anymore, but I used to love it. So I don't play Stratego and Axis and Allies. I know it's not like Risk; it's different, but to me, it's just not interesting. But anyway, go ahead, brother. Give me an honorable mention here.
Honorable mention, I would have to say Battleship. Battleships is an honorable mention.
Do you know what? Battleship almost. It would make the top 10 if I had a top 10. Because Battleship is still a fun game.
I love Battleship. The only thing is that I played it with my brother, and he liked to cheat a little bit. So he kind of moved those ships around. I just keep missing.
Who?
Jordan. Jordan
He's
would.
a cheater.
He would cheat.
Cheater.
Cheated,
We're calling
so
you out.
It kind of has a little bitter taste in my mouth.
The Battleship was fun. I have the Star Wars Battleship, but the regular one is the best. I have the regular one too, and I love the regular one. It's great.
Yeah, the
traditional
one,
yeah. Should say traditional. Another honorable mention that came up to me and almost made, I wanted to, and I showed you before the show, Basket. It's the basketball game with a ping pong ball, and we played that for years. In fact, to be honest, I'm thinking about getting that right now and adding it to my collection because I really, really loved Basket. And if the prongs all work and they're not broken or bent, that would be a game I want to buy today. Honestly, I'm gonna look online and get that. Go ahead.
Perfection.
You named another one of my top 10.
Ooh, Perfection, man. That game, talk about childhood anxiety, man.
You think
you have a heart attack over that game.
To you, Operation was sweat coming down. To me, Perfection, I would start screaming if it started getting down to 5, going, yip, 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 yip. I'd start yipping or something.
That's why Perfection is not in my top 5, because it scared me to death. I would have nightmares. I'd wake up in Perfection. No!
It is the scariest game ever.
Terrifying.
It's so terrifying.
Terrifying.
And it's still fun today, even though I can beat it in under 60 seconds now. I'm a little bit better because I know the shapes.
Yeah. And it's just a buzzer. It's not going to kill you. You think it's a bomb when you're playing as a kid.
Try it again, and now you don't have to set it to 60. Set it to 30 seconds.
Oh.
Scary.
Yeah. My heart is picking up right now just thinking about it.
Another honorable mention that I had that I actually had in my top 5, but then brother convinced me it's not technically a board game, and I agree with that. I agree with you, it isn't. Boggle. I love Boggle. I think we do have the game. I hope we have the game. I think I have the game at my house here. But I love Boggle. I love everything about Boggle. If I don't have Boggle, I need to go check and see. I better have Boggle because I love Boggle. Boggle we play. Mom has it at the house, and we'll play it all the time. I love the word game. It's so much fun. I used to have it on my phone back in the day. Play it a million times a day. I love Boggle.
Yeah.
What else for you, brother?
Well, I'm just talking about like some cool games that I didn't have the privilege of owning or playing. There was the A-Team, which I think I would have loved to play that. I love the A-Team. I love Mr. T. I'd like to pity the fool.
You would like to pity the fool?
That'd be awesome. Jumanji, if that was a board game, is that real?
I don't know.
I would love to do that. I don't even know.
I don't know.
I'd probably be afraid I'd get sucked away into a dark jungle, but it'd be awesome.
I'll be honest, there's a game I keep looking at called the Batman game.
The Batman game.
And that looks so cool.
Yeah, that's another one.
I'm going to add that to my
And
list.
then-
I think I'm going to buy the Batman game, too.
Another, I think it's a 3-dimensional board game my wife used to play, Goosebumps.
I've never...
Goosebumps.
It doesn't surprise me they have a
Of course
board
they have
game.
a board game. They have books
Yeah.
and awesome TV series. I love Goosebumps. I would totally love the Goosebumps board game.
Yeah.
Never played it.
Another one that I have, honorable mention, because it would have made the top 10, is Connect 4. I friggin' love... I have Connect 4.
Classic.
We
Yeah.
still play it. It is a classic.
Classic.
I love it to death. Love it to death. Do you have another honorable mention?
Just the nothing too major. Just some other board games that we didn't touch, is Payday and Hi-Ho Cheerio.
Did you play Hi-Ho Cheerio?
Oh, I did.
I've never played that game.
I got Hi-Ho Cheerio. You have to pick 10 cherries off your tree and put them in your bucket. You had to spin this little wheel. If you landed, it told you to pick up 1 cherry, 2, 3, whatever. If you hit a dog or a bird, you have to put 2 cherries out of your bucket back into your tree.
Okay.
And then,
I never played that.
The game, you don't win until you say, Hi-Ho Cheerio!
Are you serious?
Yeah, you have to say it to win. You have to.
Okay, I want to play it now.
Yeah.
You know who we
It's
should
in
play
the
it
rules.
with? You
It's
know
in
who
the
we
rules. It says you have to say that to win.
You know who we should play it with?
Who's that?
You need a house for your spouse. Call Mark Addison.
Yeah.
Need a room for your groom. Call Mark Addison. Mark Addison.
Don't delay. Call today. Mark Addison.
I'd love to play that game with him.
This message is brought to you by no limitations apply.
Okay, so you played Payday. I never played Payday.
I played Payday. Yeah, it was like having a job at 9 years old. It was awesome. It's like getting money, and it looked real. It was just smaller, but it wasn't colored funny. It was colored like real money.
Really?
Yeah, but it had a goofy face on it. I don't know. I still liked it. It was fun.
Still goofy.
Goofy.
All right, one of the games that I always loved, another baseball game, was All-Star Baseball. It had the little disc on it, and you spun the little wheel, and if it got to that number, it was a home run, triple, double, out, single, double. It wasn't as
I don't remember
complex. We used to have it. It was a long time ago. You're probably too little to eat them.
Yeah.
And but that was a really fun game. The only reason it didn't make any of my top 10 was because it wasn't as good as, we enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as Stratomatic. It was a nice second thing. And then another one that I did not know whether to put in the top 5 board games would have been Labyrinth. The marble game where you're going around the maze, because I really did love that game. It is a game. Is it a board game? No.
Yeah.
But I really did love me some Labyrinth. It's all about balancing that stupid marble in those stupid holes, especially when you're at the very end. Oh, it was aggravating.
Man. So cool. Yeah, what a cool game that is. You had the little knobs and you tilted the board. That was cool.
Yeah, you did all that, and it was a really fun game. Now, there's a ton of other games we could talk about, but I see that our time is almost up. Brother, can you believe we've been talking about board games for almost an hour now?
Time flies when you're playing board games.
I'm telling you what, folks, it is very fun to play board games. We'll have to do this again and talk more about board games, because there's just tons of information that I'd like to share about board games. But we are out of time, folks. So we will be back next week with some more Saturday morning Samoflange. Oh, wow.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Matt and Caleb in the morning. Woo!